Last to first. You said it, Rudy. Yeah! Yeah! Oh, those dirty ass punks.
I was kicked out of the spider style.
Wow. Unreal. Those Greaves suck.
I just got kicked out of the spider style.
Definitely misunderstood you, and there's been a big misconception about yourself, where a lot of people think you're handing things, giving things, and I feel like, what is the biggest misunderstanding or misconception about yourself? That, it's not just all fun and games, that there is hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of things people don't know is I ultimately gave up my career, my life, my friendship at 14 to be here now, and I didn't go to school. I did all online school. I went from school, and I when I was 15 and could ride a moped, I rode a moped to the shop every single day, and I worked every single day at the shop. So my dad always told me, you want it, you gotta get it. I will give you your first car. Here's a car, now it's up to you. You better figure out how to, one, not smash everybody and wreck your own equipment, because that costs money, and it doesn't just grow on a tree. And two, you got to figure out how you're going to make it. You got to be able to work hard at it, prep this thing. If you're going to go pay everybody under the moon because you don't want to do it, you're not going to be able to make it. If you want to do this for a living, you got to work hard at it and you got to earn it. And that's something he's told me from day one, is just you got to dedicate your life to it, and it's going to be something that's going to take your whole life.
When me and CJ get a chance to battle, it's the best. I know he respects me and I respect him, and I'm not as in control as he is, so he's got to be a little more careful. But anytime we can battle, it's just fun. I don't care, win, lose, or draw. A great battle, you come back and you smile for days.
I didn't drink anything till I was 23 because I was so worried about screwing up my career. I wasn't willing to give that up for giving up from 14 to 23. That was almost 10 years of my prime. I wasn't willing to give that up to go have a good time and then screw everything else up. So there's a long story behind it, and a lot of things that people don't see, but I think between my dad and I and our crew, we spend more time at the shop and working. And Kyle can tell you as well, when I was running Pro 2 and Pro Light, him and I prepped my Pro 2, just him and me as 16-year-olds, 15 and 16-year-olds for 2 years, and just grew a friendship and a bond, even being cousins and family. It was more than that. It was like we were learning with each other. We were working together. Anytime he needed anything, we were there together to grow with it. And not many people see that ever. I mean, I don't think they see it with Kyle. They don't see it with my dad. They probably don't see it with the 99 truck. They don't see it with anybody, what goes on in the background of what keeps these things going, and it's way more than your average Joe can imagine.
If you would have asked me this last Thursday when we were working 14-hour days to get here, I would say, yeah, this is probably the end of it. But you get to the track and you gotta love what you do, and I do, and my sponsors are still 100% behind me, and I'm the old guy out here. I'm carrying the flag for all the old fans, so I'm gonna keep doing it as long as it makes sense. And I gotta be competitive. I even said this year, if I'm not getting on the podium and racing for a win once in a while, maybe it's time to just quit, because I don't want to just fade off and be the guy running in 5th and 6th, because I've done too much to do that. So when I can't compete anymore, I'll probably just hang it up. But I'll always be involved, obviously with CJ and as a team owner, and bringing up younger drivers and working on the sport. So.
How did I get started in racing? Basically born into it, man. It was something that my dad was doing, before I was born. My brother's 2 years older than me, and he was doing it before he was born too. So, He's just, my dad was always into off-road. Started back in, we were born and raised in Massachusetts till we were like 6 or 7. And he was always just building Jeeps and roll cages and pretty mellow stuff, but we just grew up around it, man, and it just was always in our backyard. I mean, my dad was building trucks to go to Dakar. He's racing trophy trucks in Pikes Peak and short course. Like, it was just there, you know, and we always grew up working on them. But then we got a hold of some mountain bikes and started racing mountain bikes. So me and my brother raced professional downhill mountain bikes for like 6 years in high school and just out of high school. And we're pro and doing the whole thing with that. So we got our feet wet with sponsors and working with, you know, professionally then. And then slowly, like 02, 03, got into the truck stuff. And man, been in love with it ever since.
And what was your mentality coming in, knowing like, hey, the Greaves were essentially kings of the hill, you know, and you're coming back to the Midwest, you know, what was your mentality coming in the last season?
I always was prepared for the worst. Sadly, I mean, it sucks. Like, I would love to race everybody good, whether it's my own fault or their fault. Like, I want a straight up heads up battle, no taking out. Trucks come back tattered, but we're both pumped on racing. You know, but I think those days are gone with those guys. You know, CJ does me good sometimes. Johnny, we just can't seem to leave each other alone, and it sucks. I hate it. I mean, the rivalry started back with my dad when I was a spotter, and it's somehow grown to today. So it's definitely not ideal, you know, and I want that to go away, but it never will. But coming back last year, I didn't have something to prove, but I knew I wanted to win.
I love the rivalry, and you know, even I wasn't up to speed last year. I was struggling with a few things and the tires and everything else. You know, I feel I'm ready to get back in that battle, you know, for the top position. So it's gonna be some good rivalry again.
Now everybody's here. This is everybody. You want to be top dog, you got to do it here. It isn't top dog West Coast, top dog East Coast. We're coming here. We're gonna battle and figure it out. So ultimately, minus the history, I'm happy they're here. I'm happy Doug's here. I'm happy all these guys are here because that's what we need. We need raw, good battles down to the end that makes everyone just go, holy man, I need to come back. Because if we want to stay here and keep doing it, we need that in sport.
We have, of course, a lot of our regulars and returning drivers from last year, and our field is growing. We're going to see some new names who are going to be committing to running the full Midwest Tour, which is very exciting. So we have drivers who have traditionally ran full-time on the West Coast coming over here. They've been racing without fans, and they're hungry to get back to short course racing, so we're really excited to have them. As far as the returning drivers, one thing we're really looking forward to is our rivalries from last year. I'd be willing to bet that the flame has not died out over the off-season. We can see some of that continue.
He said, "You're capable of winning this thing. Just keep your head on straight." And I said, "All right." And I rolled it to first turn. So that's just the Johnny G style. It's all or nothing, I guess.
Take a pretty good lead on CJ, and we're just running laps, you know, running like practice, you know, no pressure, nothing like that. And ended our day early, but you know, it was a good run, and we had some good speed. And just gotta suck it up.
Devin comes on the radio in the beginning, he's like, they didn't touch the turn. It's super rough, the ruts are big, but Keegan ran the top outside of the ruts 1 or 2 laps and made it work. He's like, I really think you should try it. So we come around after the restart for like the second lap, and I had Doug and Andrew in front of me, and I just committed to the top and went around both of them on the top, and I'm like, holy man, this is what it's all about, right? So from there, the momentum was there, and I got into second, just started grinding. I started getting that feel again and started getting the truck to do what I needed it to do. And after that, we got out to a comfortable lead and was like, all right, we got to manage. There's people falling off all over. I knew my dad and Doug were having a crazy battle because every time I looked over, I'm like, oh shit, here they come.
We were sitting there, you know, dead sick on the side. It's like, all right, round 1, that was awful. Let's clean the slate, let's go for round 2. And luckily we got decent on the draw, and got the lead early and started to check out, really started to stretch the legs on this thing and get comfortable in it and show what the speed is on this car. So it was hooked up, we were fast, and I know a lot of them were waiting for the caution and all that, but truck was good. I was happy. About lap 3, I messed up 5th gear.
Drove with probably a little bit of anger that I shouldn't have, you know, just out of character stuff. I let it get to me. You know, I rolled the truck. I started to smell blood a little bit.
So caution came out. I know I was gonna have to race CJ and we're gonna have to push. And it was bound to happen. You know, just kicks it out of 5th and messes up 6th and the whole thing just locks up. So gearbox issues on my part.
Cj Greaves just flexed his dominance, of course, with back-to-back wins in Anago. He said in 2020 that it kind of took him all season to work out these bugs with the new truck, but he said coming into this year, having those bugs worked out, a bit of added confidence.
Yeah, definitely not my race. Didn't feel up to speed with those guys, and I blame myself mostly. Just not confident in driving this Pro 4 like I used to. So I just need to go back and do some homework. It's going to take a little bit of time, like we figured. I can't just come out here with no seat time in the whole year and expect to win the thing. So
Off one by one, I think there was no questions asked. We had the fastest truck out there today, so I knew it was just a matter of hitting my marks, doing my thing. Got under Leduc's skin a little bit, you know, after last year, so it's all about the pressure. I know that when I'm on, it's on, and I can keep the pressure on, and I appreciate him running me clean. I went around the outside of him, and he didn't run me into the tire or try to push me off the track, so I appreciate that. And
But the 99 car did squid out in the corner and bottle us all up and break my truck.
But it was a good weekend.
So it was a lot of eyes were on Kyle Leduc heading into Anago for the opening rounds. Reason being, of course, he's our reigning champ. It was absolutely devastating for him. He said that he came away from the weekend just not hanging his head, but he said it wasn't the weekend that the team deserved. The effort was there. Of course, he's bad fast. Doesn't matter if it's a true short track, you know, a world famous place like Anago, or you know, on the big tracks like Crandon and Bark River. So that was really tough for him. So we're going to be looking for a comeback out of him in Crandon. I know he's looking forward to that as well.
Johnny just works. Something does it on purpose. Did it the first lap, did it the next lap. And it seems like that's like just sitting there, like just great. Now we're all ready.
So just a crappy weekend. You know, it's one of those weekends where you want to stay calm and just get through the first weekend and gain points, but you got to push. You know, these guys are fast, and we have a fast truck. We know how to win races. We were doing what we were supposed to do, and I made a mistake. So it won't happen again. I can promise you that. And we made some upgraded parts for this truck for this race weekend, and I'm happy with it. I'm comfortable with it, and I'm ready to throw down for Pro 4.
I mean, I race week to week, and I blow it off pretty easily. Some people drag it around with them for a while. I mean, by the time I get home, I'm over it. I don't care if I got the raw end or he got the raw end or whoever it was. I mean, I've been doing this 25 plus years, so if you don't learn how to, you know, dust it off once in a while, it'll drag you down. So, you know, it really doesn't bother me.
A bit of last minute news that came in was Doug Matag. He's going to be stepping back into a Pro 4. He was telling me that is where he has the most fun. He can throw that truck around where he wants to, and it's just going to do its job. So he's been running the Pro 2 recently, and now he opened up that seat to Brian Deegan, who's going to be filling in for him there in the number 38. So he's going to be one of our full-time runners.
our main goal was to finish the races. I mean, we didn't have a lot of time to work on the truck. Going to Pro 4 was a last minute decision. I mean, we didn't even know we were racing 100% until maybe a month before, and then we also had to pick a Pro 2 or Pro 4. So truck got, you know, a little maintenance going into the weekend. We did as much as we could, but we knew that we just needed to get through the weekend, and I needed to not look like an idiot out there. I haven't driven the thing since 2 years prior, so my main focus was to finish, and I feel like we did actually a good job. We ended up on a second and a third that weekend, so we did what we needed to. It's a bummer always. Like, I always want to be competing for a win. Like, that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm not a guy that's just going to cruise around and just try to podium.
So going into Crandon just based off of the racing. We're going to be looking for Kyle Leduc to make a comeback. This is some added pressure on him. He's our reigning champ. He has, of course, won races last season, won a few of them at Crandon International Off-Road. So he's looking to make a big comeback there. Cj Greaves looking to carry that momentum over. Johnny Greaves looking to find his way back up on the box. Jimmy Henderson, he's been a contender for the top 3, multiple podium finishes in 2020. So look for more from Jimmy Henderson, that's for sure. And Doug Matei, who had a very solid, consistent weekend in Anago. We're looking for some more of that from him coming into Crandon. And Andrew Carlson, this place has been good to him. He's had some tough luck here, but also he's had some very big wins at Crandon. So he knows how to get around this place, and not only the side-by-side, but the truck as well.
Yeah, I mean, pretty simply, second sucks. That's my expectation. I'm sick of silver and bronze, and we've had some good lucks, and in the past, if guys have made mistakes, we've been there for a win. Or, at ERX, I feel like we've had some really good races, and even Crandon at the end of the year, we had really good momentum at the end of last year, regardless of what anybody says. I feel like we were super dialed in the truck, and even at ERX when I think we had the thing in the bag, and I think everybody knew it. We had that race won, and we ended up with a fluke failure, hit a hole and ripped the tire off. But for me, that it's still encouraging, because I feel like a lot of these guys have been doing it like we've been talking about. Like for Johnny, all of a sudden to rediscover some more speed. I mean, he's been doing this for more than I've been alive. So the odds of him coming along and making a major change and just redeveloping his style is slim. For me, it's a lot easier. So I think, whatever they want to think, they can think. But I think, I don't know, if I was them, I'd be a little more nervous each year that I get more experience, and I don't think they can gap me as hard as they could when I first started. And it's all, and I'm learning, but we're either going to get better every weekend, or we're going to have a lot of homework. So
RJ Anderson surprised us. He is our back-to-back defending world champion here at Crandon, 2019, 2020. He just announced that, maybe part of that was seeing the opening rounds and how exciting that was. He decided that he's going to make his way back up here, throw his name into the hat for maybe a cup win in the Forest County Potawatomi Brush Run. And he's not only going to be joining us for that race, but he's also committed to the World Championship Labor Day weekend. But he's going to try out ERX as well. I believe that's going to be his first visit. So we're getting to see RJ Anderson and his brother Ronnie joining him as well this season.
Need like a clap or anything? Fuck yeah. The budgeting wasn't necessarily there to run a full 6-round series out here in the Pro 4 and Pro Light, so I was able to get enough budget to run 3 races out here, and obviously both Crandons are huge events, and ERX is right in the backyard of Polaris, which is one of my main sponsors too. So it really seemed like those 3 events that I'm doing this year for the Champ Offroad series are kind of the best bang for the buck that I can give my sponsors. One thing that's happened in the past with 2 series is the West Coast series is like, oh, I'm the best Pro 4 drivers, we have the best drivers out here. The Midwest series is, no, we have the best drivers out here, we're the big dogs. So it's always kind of that rivalry, so the top of each class is like, wants to come out to the other's turf and do well and say, oh, the West Coast guys are faster, oh, the Midwest, we're standing on our ground, this is our turf, So it's always, for a long time, been a divided series, and that kind of bickering back and forth has gone on. Not racing a full series, I'm not really tied into any of them, and it's kind of a tough deal because I have to come in, learn very fast on tracks like ERX that I've never even been to, qualify good, and show up to race with minimum amount of time. So I'm coming up a little bit unprepared at times, but definitely when it comes game time, you got to bring the fight.
It is what it is. It's fucking raining. It is what it is.
The wild man, Adrian Cheney out front. Door-to-door contact between Leduc and Anderson. Anderson had to gather it back up. Cj Greaves there in 4th, and Carlson rounds out the top 5. Some contact. Cj Greaves gets into the back fender. Anderson almost went all the way around. At that point, they were Greaves just had to keep driving forward. So
So yeah, no matter what, behind, ahead, whatever, you're gonna see the same driving style, the same motivation, the same heart. We're in it to win it, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Pro 4 racing this weekend, one of the storylines we were watching coming into this was Doug Matag. Doug was fast, but just had found trouble in Crandon, unfortunately, so we did not see him on the box. But we did see another big storyline was Kyle Leduc. He not only came out with a big win, a very dominant one,
You put a bunch of egos on a little tiny bull ring like that, you're going to get a bullfight.
Henderson got a great start. Greaves! Cj Greaves comes in and just slide jobs Kyle Leduc and doors him. They both were in unison going in.
Sunday afternoon for round 4. So Kyle Leduc, he's got things turned around. He said it was a humbling couple weeks off. And I asked him about the pressure to make a comeback, and he said, I don't want to look at it as a comeback. I want to look at this as we're going to go out there and do what we do best, and that's win races and put together good, strong laps. So that's what he did. That mindset really helped him propel himself to the wins here.
Everybody says they love to win there, but I've grown up watching my dad win there and watching all these icons win there. And just to be able to cross the stripe, like I've led races there, I've whole shot, I've done a lot of cool things there, but just something about getting around that hairpin finish line corner and seeing the checkered flag thrown in your face. And this year I was fist pumping, man, just trying to like live in that moment. Like, we've won a lot of races, but winning at Crandon is definitely iconic, and you want to live in the moment. You don't want to be like, yeah, it was a great weekend, we had a good time. It was like mind-blowing to go to Crandon and on the rev chip 6th gear 100 plus down the backstretch. Like, I don't know, it never lets you down. Crandon is always insane.
There's definitely people on the track that you race different than others. There's people that you know are going to use you up and take any small hole that they can, and that's how you have to race them. You have to know how they're going to race you, and you race them back in the same way. There's drivers out there that give you a lot of room, they give you respect, and you try to race them the same way. And then there's people like my friend Doug, who we're great friends off the track, but it's one of those things that we do this for a living. When we put our helmet on, we have to go out there and do our job, and we both know that. You know, there's going to be times where there's contact, and it's never going to be on purpose. I'm going to race him hard, he's going to race me hard. And it's just one of those things. That's racing, that's what we do.